I was giving a team training on what's called the speed of trust. Franklin Covey, they do business consulting, and they wrote this book called The Speed of Trust, which consists of 13 behaviors of high trust teams and how effective that can be and how it can improve productivity in the workplace. So I thought, and I love it. And so I was like, hey, we should learn about this. And I have the cards and everything. And so they have the 13 behaviors in these cards and a lot of insightful things. So what I did was I created this presentation in Lucid. I was like, I had recently consulted with Vanessa, read all of the things on Lucid. So let me go ahead and just kind of show you what that looked like here. First, we started off with an icebreaker, and then we went into the presentation, and then I kind of introduced it a little bit, and I said, okay, now click on your breakout room. And so I assigned different members of our team to either the red room or the blue room, and then they clicked on their room. And when they went to their breakout room, I had taken photos. You can see here, I had taken photos of the 13 behaviors, the front and the back. And I uploaded those images and imported them into these boards. I added these sticky notes and stickers for them to use so they could, they added their comments. They could add their comments on what they thought about this behavior. They could say, oh no, they can add an X here and say, I don't like lying or deceiving, or say, put a heart here and say, yes, I love talking straight, being honest with people, telling the truth. They can even click on the highlighter button and say, yes, I love this phrase here, genuinely care for others, and then be ready to report back on that when we get back together. So what they did was they, commented, they highlighted, as you can see here, and then when we got back together, so the first group had habits or behaviors 1 through 7, and then the second group had behaviors 6 through 13. And you can see here the second group also commented and put emojis and hearts and whatnot to different parts, different behaviors. And then what I did was I copied those breakout rooms boards and I put them together here on the main board, and then we talked about it as a team. I said, oh, cool. Why did you highlight this? Or why did you comment that? Or why did you put a heart emoji there? And so as we talked about it, this was a really fun collaborative way for us to simultaneously annotate something digitally and then talk about our annotations in real time. So then I went back to the presentation and continued with, the 4 cores of credibility. And when it got to this slide, I added stickers. So I said, which one of these calls your attention the most? And you can add here, oh, I like this one the most, or, this one, and they can add their emojis. And then we can talk about it. And then continuing to the next slide, then we start to dissect each of the 4 components of trust, 4 cores of credibility. And so then here they can add a sticky note and say, add their comment, yes, I really like this quote about integrity because blah, blah, blah. And then, add all their commentary here, and then we can talk about it per slide. So that was generally what I did, and it added engagement to the session. It wasn't simply me lecturing the whole time, but rather an interaction of active learning. And that's the main thing that I think Lucid hits on, is it's interactive and engaging. It hits on active learning, which is a core feature that we want to enhance in our university lectures. So how can a university professor use this to enhance their lecture? Plenty of university lectures or university professors already have their lectures all set. So they're not going to say, well, I'm not going to create a new presentation in this thing called Lucid. I already have my presentation I've been teaching for the past 10 years, and it's the best thing, and it's my thing. I know what to expect. And so what I propose is you can download your lecture that you're already teaching from, whether it's Google Slides or PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint, and download it as a PDF, upload it into Lucid, and simply add in these little stickers and interactive components to it as a simple yet engaging way to help students learn. So this is how to do it. So if I'm in Lucid here, you're going to go to the left-hand side where it says import. Okay, well, actually, first you're going to download your presentation as a PDF. I already did, but I'm pretty sure. Let me just make sure. So if I download this Speed of Trust Google Slides, or this could be a physics presentation, a physics lecture, or this could be a math lecture, or this could be a history lecture, whatever the case is, and then I'll download it as a PDF. Once it's downloaded, then I'll go to this import button here on the left, or I can just drag it down. But the button here is the import button. Import a PDF. There's my speed of trust. And now it's being imported. It usually takes a minute or so for all of the individual slides to pop into this little thing here, but this little icon. But I already did that beforehand, so I'm going to show you in this other Lucid here. So this is fully downloaded. So once I click on it, I can click this button here that says extract thumbnails, and then it'll show me all of the slides. It calls the slides thumbnails. So I'll click all, select all of the slides and say, yes, I want to bring all of these into this Lucid chart or Lucidspark file. And then boom, it's taking out all of them. Great. Once it takes all of them out, then I can go ahead and just delete this PDF icon. And then I'm going to create my interactive presentation based off of the lecture I just did. So imagine downloading your slides and uploading them into Lucid takes a matter of moments, just 2 minutes. So then what we can do here, in order to make it a presentation where you click next and then it goes to the next slide, you have to make a path. And then in order to make a path, you have to have each slide of your path presentation be what's called a frame. So the way you can make each of these slides a frame is by clicking on each slide, and then with this with these options that appear, you click more, and then there's an option that'll say add frame around selection. So once I add frame around selection, boom, that's my frame. Notice how the frame is a little bit larger than my slide. That's usually going to be the case. And that's actually a good thing, because then it'll give you space around each slide where students can add their comments and emojis and whatnot. So once you kind of get an idea for how big the frame is, then you can kind of move the rest of the slides over. And then once you space them out horizontally, then you'll space them out vertically. And then just add a frame to each one. I'll just add a couple frames. I won't add a frame to each of them. So then I'll go ahead and click the second slide, click add a frame around it, the third slide, add a frame around it. Now, notice how each of these frames says frame 1, frame 2, frame 3. You should rename these to whatever the slide is. So here I'm going to call it title. Here I'm going to call it 13 behaviors. Then I'm going to call this one trust cards and role plays. So by the way, we did role plays during the presentation. That's why it says role plays. Okay, so I just did 3, but you would imagine you can just continue this and do it for the rest of them. The reason you rename these is because now when you're going to create a path, which is basically creating the presentation with the arrow button, where if you click the next arrow, it'll take you to the next slide, you're going to have to choose which ones you want to go in what order. So, and you shouldn't put like numbers 1, 2, 3, because you might want to switch up the order, and then you'll have to switch the title, and that'll get confusing. So just put like a name the frames, whatever the slide is. So if I go here to path, I'm going to click on create path, and then I'm going to name this path my trust presentation. Then I'm going to go ahead and just click on the ones that I want to add. If I want to add the title one first, then I click that one first. If I want to add 13 behaviors next, I click that one next. Notice how if I unclick it and click the other one next, it'll add that one as the second slide. But I don't want that one as the second slide, so I want the 13 behaviors as the second slide, then trust cards and role plays as the third slide, and then I'm done. Once I'm finished with the path, then I can click on it, and when I present, it'll have them appear in that order, and it'll move through them in that order. Then lastly, or maybe not lastly, maybe you could add the interactions first, but you can add the sticky notes and the emojis and the stickers in under more tools, which is this colorful icon over here, and then quick tools. Then it'll show you kind of like the sticker bank, and I'll just put the sticker bank here. Make it a little smaller. And then, there we go. Oh, it looks like this small as it can go. So then it looks like I might have to just readjust the size of the rest of these things, which you can do by clicking on everything and then just expanding. So once you're finished with this, expanding everything, then you can have students, okay, raise your hand if interact with this slide if you're ready for the speed of trust. How are you feeling today? And then some people put in this, some people put an X. I've never heard of this before and whatnot. And so you'll get, this is a nice, easy way to get interaction. And looks like I can make this a little bit bigger still, but you get the idea. Once you have everything you need sized appropriately, then I can go ahead and add another quick tool such as a sticky note bank. I'll add right there and say, okay, everybody, now add what do you from without cheating, nobody cheat. What do you remember are the 13 behaviors of trust? Let's see if we can make or remember all the 13 behaviors of trust, high trust collectively. And everyone's like, okay, which ones? I think one of them was be honest. Yeah, so be honest. And then each sticky note will have the person's name on it and whatnot. And then collectively, hopefully, all of the 13 behaviors are recollected. And so imagine that instead of simply going through your slides saying, okay, today we're going to go over speed of trust. And then next we're going to go, okay, so 13 behaviors of high trust. There are these 13 behaviors of high trust, blah, blah, blah. You actually have all the students participate with you. And it obviously doesn't have to be every single slide, but maybe there's a practice problem here, right? And then you want to add, a question, even if it's a STEM course. If you have, find the velocity of this train A, which one's going to get to the train station first, right? The typical physics problem, train A or train B. You can have sticky notes and say, and have them put in their responses, their answers on sticky notes, or you can make them anonymous as well, or you can ask a different question. What part do you think is the hardest part solving this physics problem? And then people will put their sticky notes, and it's real-time feedback for you to respond to in class to address student concerns, student misconceptions.